Good day, everyone.
This is Peace I Love.
And we are the Group 1. Today we will tackle...
How light can be a wave or particle.
Are you ready, mate?
Yes, sir!
Light is a transverse electromagnetic wave that can be seen by human eye. The wave nature of light was first illustrated through experiments on diffraction and interference. Like the other waves, light can travel through a vacuum.
Light could be a glow from a light bulb, a glow from a ring light, a flame from a lighter, and the warm shining rays from the sun. Light can be natural or man-made, but no matter how it is created, we utilize light every single day. Throughout the past centuries, there have been a number of scientific developments revolving around light.
Now, let's ask one of our science teacher here in Macabebe High School if what really light is.
Ma'am, what is light?
Okay, for me as your science teacher in grade 10, we can define light as a very unique thing that is happening in our world. It can pass in a straight line or sometimes it will bend outward. This light can also reflect. That's why this light also have what we call a wavelength. Kaya nga, we can say that light is one of a type of a wave. Okay, when we talk about a wave, it has also what we call the electromagnetic radiation. It is a combination of electricity and magnetism. This wavelength also have the what we call the distance between the crest to crest or throw to throw, and also it has a frequency. When we talk about frequency, it is how many times does the a cycle pass on a wavelength. Kasi para siyang ganito, a wave. Para siyang alon sa tubig. Okay. And this electromagnetic radiation has a constant velocity. That's the amount of speed of light, which is 3 times 10 raised to the 8 meter per second. Or if you're going to convert it in the standard form, it is 300 million meter per second. That is the unit used for the velocity, or what we call the speed of light.
Wow, light is really a wonderful thing in our universe.
I agree with you, Jessica, but the real question here is like a wave or particle?
How can we reveal whether light is a wave or particle? It's very easy.
Light is a wavelength, frequency, and velocity. In this case, light is a wave.
Light also has certain amount of energy and momentum. So in this case, light is a particle.
The study of optics has allowed us to expand our knowledge about light. We are able to distinguish the nature and use of light. Because we are determined to learn, I love science.
Ang light ay isang enerhiya na nakikita ng ating mga mata. Ang visible light ay isang parte ng electromagnetic spectrum na nagtatravel ng paalon.
With the help of light, we can see things. Nagre-reflect ang light sa mga bagay kaya nakikita natin ng mga ito. For example, tatama ang sunlight sa mga puno kaya nakikita natin ang mga ito.
So, trivia muna tayo guys. Did you know na tao ay the best eye sa lahat ng organisms sa mundo? Higit pa sa mga ibon? Tama! So, ayun lang ang mga trivia natin for today's video. Bye-bye!
Light can be a wave. Isa itong uri ng electromagnetic wave gaya ng infrared light, visible light, ultraviolet light at iba pa.
Sinasabi sa light as wave, ang light ay hindi localized. Kaya sinasabing ito ay wave kasi hindi lang siya steady sa isang lugar.
Light can be also a particle. A particle ay may momentum at position. It is a small, single, nahahawakan ito.
Many scientists are good whether light is wave or a particle.
Nag-travel ang light as particle. Kapag may tumama sa kanya, mag-iba siya ng direction.
According to Christian Huygens, light is a wave. Contrary to the said statement, Albert Einstein claimed that light is a photon, where light is made up of particles called photon.
In most situations, light behaves like a wave, with properties like wavelength and frequency, and is subject to diffraction and interference.
Both waves and particle are described by a very different sets of mathematical equations. If you want to describe something scientifically, you have to decide if it is a wave or particle in order to predict how it will behave and act.
Light is a wave and a particle.
Light is so common that we rarely think about what it really is. But just over 200 years ago, a groundbreaking experiment answered the question that had occupied the physicists for centuries. Is light made up of waves or particles?
Then, in the late 1800s, German theoretical physicist Max Planck threw a monkey wrench into everything when he studied black body radiation. To explain his observation, he proposed that light can be emitted only in discrete little chunks. A few years later, Albert Einstein threw his weight into the matter by studying the photoelectric effect and proposed that not only is light emitted in little chunks, but light itself is made of little packets of energy called photons. In other words, light was behaving as a particle in this experiment.
The experiment was conducted by Thomas Young and is known as Young's double-slit experiment. This famous experiment is actually a simplification of a series of experiments on light conducted by Young. In a completely darkened room, Young allowed a thin beam of sunlight to pass through an aperture on his window and onto two narrow, closely spaced openings, the double slit. The sunlight then cast a shadow onto the wall behind the apparatus. Young found that the light diffracted as it passed through the slits and then interfered with itself, created a series of light and dark spots. Since the sunlight consists of all colors of the rainbow, these colors were also visible in the projected spots. Young concluded that light consists of waves and not particles, since only waves were known to diffract and interfere in exactly the manner that light did in his experiment.
Light behaves mainly like a wave, but it can also be considered as a particle.
Photons carry a fixed amount of energy but have no mass.
Light sometimes act like a wave and sometimes act like a particle, depending on the situation.
This only makes sense if we accept that light is something more complex, something that from a certain perspective, they believe that light is a wave, and from another perspective, they believe that light is a particle.
So is light a particle or a wave? It has properties of both. Light can be labeled with a wavelength, momentum, frequency, and velocity. It can be reflect, refract, interfere, and diffract.
Pwede maging wave or particle na light, depende sa pagkagamit.
Because light can be a particle and a wave, we may call light as a particle-wave duality, or wavicle. It can be a wave in a particle, the way we perceive it.
Thanks to physics, we learned that light has properties of wavelength, mass, momentum, energy, frequency, and velocity as a wave and particle.
Now, if you're going to ask me what are the different importance of light, of course, number one, we know that the number one source of light is our sun. That is a natural light, okay, coming from our sun. It will help us to give what we call the vitamin D. Kapag sinabi natin vitamin D, it will help our bones to be strong and grow. Aside from that is the what we call the solar power. By means of the sunlight, okay, it will provide a power or electricity. Kaya nga tinawag natin yan electromagnetic radiation. Kasi may electricity. Okay. And another thing, syempre kapag sobrang dilim na, napakadilim ng area, we need light. And another type of light is ultraviolet light. Kung alam niyo yung ultraviolet light, yun yung ginagamit to scan the money, if it is true or not. Kung makikita niyo doon sa mga cashier, di ba may gagamitin silang machine, i-check kung totoo yung 1,000 or yung 500. Yung iba, kapag wala silang ganung machine, titignan lang nila sa araw. Aliway kang balang tumitingin kayo doon sa, nagbubunot kayo ng sisiw, hindi gano'n, no? Yung, di ba yung iba, kung naranasan nyo na, titignan nila nila yung 1,000 bill kung totoo or hindi by means of ultraviolet wave or the ultraviolet light. And also, may mga signature sa passbook, sa bank, no? Gumagamit din sila ng ultraviolet light. Aside from that is yung mga foreigners, no? Gumagamit sila ng tinatawag na artificial light. Why? Pumapasok sila doon sa parang ultraviolet machine kasi very maputi sila, no? Hindi ano yung sunlight sa kanila kasi may mga winter, very snowy yung weather nila. Gusto nilang magpatan para magpalitim ng kulay. So, papasok doon sila sa ultraviolet light na machine and then yun. Okay, that's an artificial. So, there's a lot of things that light help us in our everyday life, especially us. To see things, we need light. To see the negative things, we need a light that is positive. Diba? So, ganon. For me, that is light. So, thank you for listening to me. I hope you learned something today.
We can only define light depending on our perception about it. The only constant statement about light is that it is useful and important. Without light, darkness will conquer the universe, coldness arises, and no living things would be able to survive because we only depend on light. Light makes us see the beauty of our surroundings. Instead of arguing whether light is a wave or particle, we must appreciate light while we can.
That is the end of our documentary named How Light Can Be a Wave and Particle. This is Peace I Love and Happy Learning!